Well, it was real. It was fun to be there, but it wasn't real fun in the Super Regionals down in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Carson Fox for another edition of Fox on West Virginia Mountaineer Sports, a baseball edition. The conclusion of the 2025 season came to a close, and unfortunately, the Mountaineers just did not play as well as they needed to. Saturday evening in a 16-9 loss. And then last evening, late night contest, 3-hour rain delay. Game was supposed to start at 6 p.m. Eastern time. Instead, didn't start till 9 p.m. So stayed up for as long as humanly possible till it felt like that game was in conclusion. Wanted to make a video, but getting up bright and early to head to the U.S. Open practice round. So this was actually the format I was thinking of for this channel all along. I get these crazy thoughts about West Virginia athletics a lot of times, I feel like, whenever I'm driving. So that's what you're getting today. Just wanted to make a quick video because I'm not going to really have time later this afternoon and then into tomorrow. So, you know, the 24-hour news cycle this is really my only time to do it for you. So just had some thoughts I wanted to share with Mountaineer Nation from this series, this Super Regional. Once again, I think that we as Mountaineer fans can only just be thankful, happy, congratulatory on the season that was. You set a single season program record for victories. You get back to the Super Regionals for the second time in 2 straight seasons, for the only second time in program history. Just continues to show how far this program has come. Regular season Big 12 champions. I think the victory in the Clemson Regional alone already kind of sealed that this season was legitimate, that this was that kind of season that you sought out for in the preseason when West Virginia was picked in the top 4 to finish, and came to that conclusion. But unfortunately, LSU just too elite. That might be a team that goes on to win this College World Series, just if they play to their potential with the major league talent that they have offensively and defensively. But it wasn't still to say that West Virginia, couldn't contend with the Tigers. I think the way that they lit into Cade Anderson and Trayson, forget his first name, in their back-to-back pitching performances, those were not the quality starts that they'd had so many times before against other opponents, doing the research on them. But let's talk about Friday's contest at first. Not the best or most efficient outing by Griffin Kern. What I think first and foremost that just impressed me so much about that LSU offense was their plate discipline. They were not going to swing at balls, pitches out of the zone. And Kern, and mirroring, I don't want to get too much into Saturday's contest without talking to Friday's contest, similar issues with Jack Cartsonas, who started Sunday's contest, was the inefficiency to throw strikes early on in the count. Got LSU into hitters' counts, way too many walks overall. That was a theme of the weekend, I felt like, in both games. Way too many walks, giving up you were just having to work harder, lumber harder out there to get batters out. And LSU has, again, awesome talent up and down the lineup with power. And it just took 2 swings of the bat, I felt like. 2 swings of the bat. Gurriel going yard for a 3-run shot, just a flick of the wrist, opposite way, just gets over into the second seat. For as much as I listened to pre-Super Regionals about LSU's ballpark, didn't seem to me as if the ball had any trouble carrying out of there. Definitely a different type of venue from that perspective in comparison to Clemson, where it just seemed like no matter how hard Sam White hit the ball wasn't leaving the ballpark. But instead, ball just carried like crazy out of LSU. So Kern gives up a 3-run shot. And then perhaps maybe the most questionable decision of the entire postseason was head coach Steve Savins pulling Griffin Kern. I think it was only like the 4th inning or so. It did throw way too many pitches into the 80s already that early in the contest, and he pulls him for, I think it was redshirt freshman J.J. Glasscock, who was, if there are, I don't know, 10 relievers on the team, is 9th or 10th, only threw 6 innings on the entire season up to that point. So just a very questionable decision, in my opinion. Only gave up, or I only think he threw like 2 strikes or so, walked 2 guys, let guys on base, and then to bring in Connor Furman, who, I'll give it to him, Connor Furman throws into the 90s, he throws hard, but you just don't really know where the ball is going pitch by pitch. And again, against a really disciplined lineup in LSU, it was not surprising to me to continue to see back-to-back Glasscock and Furman get blasted. So to go down 7-1, then made it 10-1, you just thought, oh my gosh, against this LSU pitching staff, how is West Virginia going to be able to score runs? Not even halfway through the game, and it already felt as if it was over. Now, the nice thing about Saturday's contest, I'll move ahead, is West Virginia did use its better relievers, and then was able to mount a comeback. But I just didn't understand the decision why to go. I guess the Saban was trying to play the long game. I don't know if maybe that's something that he thinks about over the off season, how to manage that potentially different in a but had that experience before last year in the Super Regionals in North Carolina, so thought, let's play the long game, let's play for Sunday and Monday, but just didn't work out. And I think whenever you don't get the kind of A performance that you need out of a pitcher like Kern, your best pitcher of the entire season, you're fighting an extremely uphill battle already. So you would have liked Kern to go a little deeper into that game on Friday, to give your offense a chance. West Virginia's, like I said, did battle back in the later stages of the game, but it just felt like too little, too late, especially given LSU with 2 swings of the bat. And it wasn't as if Milam's grand slam was really just one of those, exit velos shot out of the ballpark either, just barely got over the fences. So defense really failing the Mountaineers on Friday's game, just way too many walks, way too many pitches thrown for a disciplined lineup in LSU. And then Sunday's game, hated the long rain delay. Also just hated that the season had to end for, both Kern and Cartsonas with just an effort where, man, he was just struggling, like Kern, to get ahead in counts, throwing way too many pitches, and then just, unfortunately, just errors that, like, you hadn't seen from this Mountaineer ball club all season. Gavin Kelly, unfortunately, who has an unbelievably, I feel like high ceiling caliber for a career. I feel as if I see, a little bit of JJ Weatherholt in the guy, and that he can do anything for you. Just a true freshman out there starting, has become like a, relied upon starter for this Mountaineer ball club, but twice in that contest dropping pop-ups that were really tough balls in the lights, in the night sky down there in Louisiana. I felt as if definitely the second time, but even the first time could have been called off, but wanted to try and make the catch, trying to catch the ball over the shoulder, and then instead of trying to get, it was a tough ball to try and get under it, square your shoulders, get the, glove in front of your face. Instead, he's having to try to catch it over the shoulder. But that was just a microcosm, I felt like, of, the theme overall of LSU was elite. You had to play as perfectly as humanly possible. Felt almost like Villanova in the NCAA tournament there in 2017 or what it is, that you were going to have to play your absolute best game and have them kind of make those kind of uncharacteristic errors or mess ups here and there to be able to beat them whenever they're scoring at that rate too. 2 games they score in double digits. So, Cartsonas working his tail off. You could tell, I don't know what it was. It was either the heat, humidity combination. And I thought, like, West Virginia playing in Clemson last weekend, like, that really wasn't necessarily going to be a factor. But clearly, it was. And just having to throw 30 pitches in the first inning, 30 pitches into the second inning, getting up close to 70, totally understandable that he would get pulled, given what had happened. And just like one of those kind of it rains, it pours innings, Milam coming up with the bases clearing double, just too many free passes, giving LSU base runners an opportunity to score some just cheap runs that West Virginia, by contrast, would have to work so hard to manufacture. That's what happens for great opponents. So, going back, I thought West Virginia also in the very first inning, after Cartsonis had thrown 30 pitches, West Virginia helps him out the other way by, at the plate, 3 straight strikeouts. So I think that West Virginia was just a little, like, seeing his pitches, had a live arm, high, mid-90s fastball, electric curveball, and breaking slider. So having not seen Trayson's pitching, and then just, again, contrary to what LSU did and seeing more pitches, just swinging at everything, crap in the dirt, 3 straight strikeouts by the top of the order in Guzman, in Save, in West, and swinging at crap. And then just unfortunately a couple of times when West Virginia was battling back in the game, got to eventually 6-4, couple of times Kyle West left guys on base. I think he left 4 runners on base in his back-to-back at bats in the middle of the inning when middle of the game when West Virginia was trying to mount a comeback, and could have tied it, but unfortunately that wasn't to be had. Where there was a little bit of controversy, I feel like, in both of these games was, and I don't honestly consider this even like one of the top 4 storylines. Like, I think I've kind of already said it was, LSU was elite. They played like it. That was the kind of caliber that you had. The starting pitching just was not effective, efficient, way too many walks. And then just, man, at times when you needed to get guys, in, and you left them on base, and just had a couple of big innings by LSU that broke the games wide open, and West Virginia having to work so hard to manufacture runs, instead of just being able to, with a flick of a wrist, put the ball in the outfield. Now, love the home run by Sam White in Sunday's contest. That was a laser. His ceiling is so high. And also Ben Lumsden. This is what I was, to put a pin in, to come back to what I was about to say, was the controversial decision by Sabins. I mean, he did this in the Clemson series just for whatever reason, whether he just didn't like Hussey's approach at the plate, too many strikeouts, to go with Ben Lumsden at first base in the starting. I mean, it paid off there in Sunday's contest. Had an electric 2-run home run that you absolutely needed at the time to mount any sort of a comeback working hard. Then coming back like an inning or so later, trying to scoop a really bad throw by Brody Kresser on a little bit more of a routine ground ball, but it was a deep throw from the shortstop. Not able to scoop it. LSU gets a run out of it. So it's just like, you're damned if you do, damned if you don't. I don't know if there was a right, quote-unquote, situation there, either in sticking with Hussey or Lumsden, because he did go yard, but Hussey's power numbers, I think you would have liked to have a guy there who has the possibility to change the game with one swing of a bat, like he almost did in that Kentucky game last Friday, the first game of the regional series. But Saban's clearly seeing Lumsden having faith in him, trust in him, confidence in him. And I think Lumsden's going to be a guy in the middle of the order next year, or going to be a starter at first base, because now to kind of look ahead and project, there are some guys that West Virginia is going to lose, obviously, within this lineup, Hussey being one of them, Kyle West graduating, Jace Reinhardt was just a one-year guy, Brody Kresser coming in, he's a senior. But man, West Virginia has a lot to look forward to, I feel like, especially with Armani Guzman and how athletic that he is. If he gets a little bit more plate discipline, the power, the speed that he has, another year of, Ben Lumsden, Logan Save will be a senior, Skylar King will be a senior. And then there are some guys down in the, Gavin Kelly, I said, is going to be a starter, and I don't know if he's going to stay in the middle infield or they're going to, try and swap him in at catcher. Maybe he's like a, third day, Sunday starter at catcher. Sam White will be a senior. I think the retention efforts of this lineup will be something very particular to watch for over the summer if they have the capabilities, and what the financial ramifications of the House settlement with the efforts. I talk about this, I feel like, with my football and my basketball recap and videos, is what kind of an investment that West Virginia is going to put into its baseball program in conjunction with all of the other programs. That if football leads, basketball's number 2. If West Virginia wants to be one of these power programs in college baseball, a team that consistently is looking at postseason aspirations, that they're going to have to do a really good job in retention, because there's going to be some programs, I would think, that are going to be making some calls on some guys. So retaining the guys who have the years of eligibility, I think there will be enough of a core next year that if they just have some additions, maybe in the outfield, maybe in the middle infield, if you're not thinking Spencer Barnett will be an everyday starter next to Gavin Kelly at shortstop, but very well could. Think he could be that kind of a guy. I think that Chase Swain, if he could play into the outfield, if you're going to trust Armani Guzman as an everyday third base, can be more than enough. I think Chase Swain was an underutilized guy all season long, and would have liked to see him a little bit more in the postseason. So if you have him in a starting position in the outfield, that they are just another hitter or two away. Some guys with some power. You already saw over the weekend West Virginia going out there in the transfer portal and getting 2 guys, I think, wanting to try and arm up their relief efforts. Yes, Kern's graduating, Cartsonas graduating, moving on. So you get Max Yeel back, who was supposed to be this team's number 1 or number 2 starter, who missed the entire season because of a Tommy John surgery. So you get Yeel back. Chase Meyer might make the transition from the bullpen to a starter role, kind of like Cartsonas came on midway through the season, became that number 2 guy. He might be your number 1 starter. I think if Gavin Van Kempen can get right, get fully healthy, work on some things, and then Carson Estrich, he's got 1 more year's worth of eligibility, not the kind of year that Estrich had in 2025 as he did to 2024, but could be at least your setup man or closer. So I think there's so much to like, y'all. If you're just getting into Mountaineer baseball, there's so much to like. There is so much on the horizon, I feel like, for this program. The pitching and biomechanics center, the investment that is being made into this baseball program. We'll have to see what it's like from an NIL retention efforts to see, hopefully that none of these guys get poached. But I think the future is so bright for this Mountaineer program. We saw that continued. There wasn't any sort of a fall off from the Randy Mazey era to the first year of the Steve Sabins era. And it's going to be, only from here on out on the way up. So would have been like to see a better effort down in Baton Rouge. Would have liked to see this team go on to a college baseball World Series, but just unfortunately not to be had. Ran into arguably the hottest program in the entire nation, they played to their capabilities, and West Virginia, unfortunately, while still having so much talent, just didn't do enough in the right situations, especially defensively, to come away with a victory. So love to know your thoughts, good, bad, or indifferent. Thanks for tuning in for this video. Try and bring you some content from good old Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, a Mountaineer's paradise. So I'll try and bring you some more if we have some other news to talk about later this week. Tell your friends, tell your family, tell your dog. I do this each and every week and have a lot of fun doing it. Thanks for tuning in. Hail West Virginia. Let's go.